News Talk 1070 KHMO presents On the Mark with Mark Hespin. News Talk 1070 KHMO presents On the Mark with Mark Hespin. On the Mark is powered by Kunes Country Honda Hyundai, your number one Honda and Hyundai dealer in the tri-state area at 221 North 36th Street, Quincy. Faith, family, and giving back. That's Kunes Country. And now, here's Mark Hespin.
Good morning, Tri-States, and wherever you may be listening on the News Talk 1070 KHMO app. This is On the Mark. I am Mark Hespin, brought to you by Kunes Honda Hyundai, your number one Honda and Hyundai dealer in the tri-state area. 221 North 36th Street in Quincy. You got to ask them about that lifetime, no-fear powertrain warranty on new and used vehicles. Tell them Mark sent you. Welcome on in to episode 211 of On the Mark on this November 18th, broadcasting live and local here in our KHMO studios in the heart of Quincy at 24th and Broadway. As always, you can follow me on Twitter/X, on Instagram at Mark Hespin, MarkHespen. You can follow the show. Just search On the Mark KHMO on Facebook. Again, that's all one word, On the Mark KHMO. And you can also subscribe to the YouTube channel at Mark Hespin on YouTube. Posting YouTube videos to the Facebook account recently, trying to keep everyone updated. I only have an hour every week, and there's a ton to talk about. So I try to fill in with some midweek stuff and keep you updated on some other things and that we don't necessarily have time to fit into the show. So subscribe to the YouTube if you're a fan of the show as well. And I post all the YouTube links on the Twitter and everything. So if you follow me there, you'll get access to them as well. We got a jam-packed show for you today. We will go through Week 11 in the NFL, breaking down every single game. I have my lock. I have my upset. I may flip-flop at the last minute. I am so sold on the Bears covering against the Lions that it's almost my upset of the week. I have them as my upset 1B compared to another pick that we'll get to later. Talk about the teams on a bye week. A kind of a down week in college football, but obviously with the Jim Harbaugh story, a lot to get to, so we'll talk about that and a couple key games to keep an eye out for that may be impactful for the college football playoff standings coming on up. And then we'll wrap up the show with the Bulls going to blow up the team and the Cubs going after Ohtani and all these other things. We'll get to all of that. Right now, let's get it started. Hespin headline number one, and the headline is, it's not good news for the Cleveland Browns.
Hespin's headlines On the Mark.
The Cleveland Browns will not win a playoff game or an AFC North title with Deshaun Watson as their quarterback. I'm ready to predict it now, and I feel very confident in predicting that about Deshaun Watson. He's going to miss the rest of the year, having surgery on his shoulder. It's been a nagging injury and something that they want to get cleaned up, and especially important for them to get cleaned up and to take care of him because of his contract the next couple years with the Cleveland Browns. Why do I feel confident saying Deshaun Watson will never win a playoff game or an AFC North title while he is the quarterback of the Cleveland Browns? Well, the numbers just don't lie. The numbers paint the picture for you. When Deshaun Watson was signed almost 2 years ago to the Cleveland Browns, they gave him that mega $230 million guaranteed deal that really changed the landscape of quarterback deals. Fully guaranteed, first fully guaranteed deal in NFL history. We had said one of the things that was really shady about that, remember, was we knew he was going to be suspended that first year. And so basically they converted all of that salary into like a signing bonus. And then his cap hit was only like $1 million. We're like, God, that added to how extra shady this whole situation is with Deshaun Watson. So that was his cap hit last year, $1 million. This year, his cap hit was $19 million. The Cleveland Browns were a playoff team with Baker Mayfield in his second to last year. Then his last year, he gets injured. They fall apart, and then they sign Deshaun Watson. So the whole point of signing Deshaun Watson was get him in there. This team is ready to win now, ready to compete now. Great offensive line, Nick Chubb, big weapons, ready to go. Defense, Myles Garrett signed. So let's compete. Let's win now. Well, last year, Deshaun Watson came back after suspension and played very poorly. Could not elevate the Browns to the playoffs. This year was supposed to be the year. $19 million cap hit, that's nothing compared to the cap hits of some of the big quarterbacks in the NFL. This is the year, ready to win now roster, Kevin Stefanski, and ready to go, and he underwhelmed and couldn't stay on the field, and now is out the rest of the year. Why do I feel confident in saying Deshaun Watson will never win an AFC North title and will never win a playoff game with the Cleveland Browns? In 2024, in 2025, and in 2026, the Cleveland Browns have to pay Deshaun Watson in his salary and against the salary cap. This is all against the cap. $63.9 million each year. $63.9 million against the cap. I know the cap's going up, but not enough to offset this. When this Browns roster is no longer going to be in complete win now mode, the offensive line's getting older. Can they keep that defensive core unit together? What do you do with Chubb and the knee injury? Will he ever be the same? They need to sign some weapons on the offense as far as wide receivers go, and they'll have no money to do it because Deshaun Watson is costing them so much money. Now, they will have to be great in the draft. To have a chance to prove me wrong, Deshaun Watson will have to come back healthy, ready to go, and be his former self and then some, which we haven't seen that Deshaun Watson in 4 years now. And since that Deshaun Watson, major shoulder surgery for the aging Deshaun Watson, who at his core was never a pinpoint accuracy thrower. He was a guy that beat you a lot like Lamar Jackson, Justin Fields, with just absurd athleticism and a big arm. So the Cleveland Browns and Deshaun Watson, I didn't ever really believe in it. I didn't ever think it was a good deal. I didn't think it was a smart thing for them to do. And now I truly believe it is going to come back and haunt them in the worst of ways. There's just no way that they are going to be winning an AFC North title or a playoff game. Do you really expect Deshaun Watson to lead the Cleveland Browns, this roster that's aging and is going to lose some good players here, and hope to be able to sign some cheap veteran free agents to fill the roster with a lot of draft picks because they had to pay Deshaun Watson so much money to beat the Ravens for an AFC North title in the coming years? The ever-consistent Pittsburgh Steelers and that defense in the coming years? Joe Burrow, when healthy, led Bengals in the coming years in the AFC North to win a title? No. And so do you really expect Deshaun Watson, now over the age of 30, shoulder surgery, giant contract, to get the Browns to a wild card spot in the playoffs over the Chargers and Herbert and a new head coach, over the Jags or the upstart Houston Texans, well-run young organizations that are growing and peaking? Maybe, who knows what Anthony Richardson could do with the Colts. So you'd expect Deshaun Watson on the road, playoff game, wild card, to win at a Cincinnati, or to win at a Baltimore, to win on the road against Miami or Buffalo in the AFC East, to win on the road against Trevor Lawrence and the Jags, or the Texans on the road against C.J. Stroud, to win on the road against the Chiefs. I don't see it happening. I firmly can feel comfortable telling you, my listeners who trust me on this, Deshaun Watson and the Cleveland Browns will not win an AFC North title, and they will not win a playoff game during his tenure. It's a brutal, brutal signing for the Browns, looking back on it now. It was a wrong move to make in the time, and now hindsight is even more 2020. It's just been a disaster with how quickly the AFC got good with quarterbacks, how many good young quarterbacks there were for the Browns to maybe draft or go after. Stick with Baker Mayfield and what he's done with the Tampa Bay Bucks. You build around him in that organization. It's been a disaster for the Cleveland Browns. And I don't feel bad for them, but I firmly believe that they will not win a playoff game or an AFC North title. Now, the one bright side the Browns have is that I do believe in Stefanski. I do believe in Myles Garrett. Those two are guys is a very good coach and an absolute top 3 elite defensive player in the NFL in his prime. They do have still a solid offensive line next year would be the year I really think for them to prove me wrong if they can keep this kind of band together. Depending on what, Buffalo does, maybe they have to restart. Maybe the Chargers have to restart with a head coach. There's going to maybe be some openings in the AFC. But I'll tell you what, that AFC South is getting better. Lamar Jackson and the Ravens aren't going anywhere. Joe Burrow is going to be back healthy, and the Bengals aren't going anywhere. The Steelers are the Steelers. They're going to find a way to be over 500 with a very elite defense. But next year will be the year to do it. They could, if he can get this cleaned up and be 100% healthy going into camp, they can add some receivers, find a way to stay young and youthful and not pay too much money on the offensive and defensive side of the ball and draft well. They got a chance, but it's slim to none. You're listening on the Mark News Talk 1070 KHMO, the KHMO app. When we come back, a full Week 11 breakdown in the NFL, including my lock of the week, my ups of the week, and we'll recap Thursday Night Football, Joe Burrow's injury, talk about the Ravens, the AFC North. It's on the Mark News Talk 1070 KHMO and the KHMO app.
Hi there, it's Scott from Pentatonics. So from the beginning of our journey in music, the foundation has been music education. It's so incredibly important that we continue to show kids the importance of music in our schools, in our homes, and even in the car. Music is such a powerful expression of emotion and individuality, and we are responsible for keeping the love for music alive. This message is courtesy of the United States Air Force.
1070 KHMO.
Welcome on back to On the Mark here, News Talk 1070 KHMO, the KHMO app, brought to you by Kunis Honda Hyundai, your number one Honda and Hyundai dealer in the tri-state area, 221 North 36th Street in Quincy. They are the buying center of the tri-states. If you are selling, they are buying. Get off of Facebook Marketplace where creepy dudes are messaging you at all hours of the day and the night saying, hey, can I come look at your car? You don't want any of that. Go to Kunis Honda Hyundai. Put the power in your hands. They want to buy. They got money. Go out there and make a deal with them. You don't even have to buy from them to sell to them. Go to shopkunis.com for more information. Tell them Mark sent you. All right, let's get into it. Week 11 in the NFL.
Hespin's headlines on the Mark.
Well, let's start, obviously, with the 34-20 win for the Ravens over the Bengals on Thursday Night Football. Obviously, we await the full wording on what Joe Burrow and his, injury will be and exactly the length of time he's going to miss. But it doesn't look good for the Cincinnati Bengals. They probably are going to end up missing the playoffs. They got a really brutal schedule ahead of them. It is not easy. I think every single game they play from here on out is a team that's at least 500 or better. I mean, they'd have the Steelers, Jaguars, Colts, Vikings, Steelers, Chiefs, Browns. I mean, not an easy schedule the remainder of the year. But if anyone can do it and can come back from injury and be an absolute monster and lead his team, it's Joe Burrow. We just got to figure out exactly what this wrist injury is, how long it'll take to rehab and come back from it. And maybe the Bengals do just decide, let's shut him down and let's write this thing off. I can't imagine they do that until they're really out of it, depending on how much time he's going to miss. But it was a real damper on a game that was highly anticipated, and we as fans were all ready for a really great Thursday Night Football game. And Lamar Jackson also got nicked up in this game. Mark Andrews looks like he's going to miss the remainder of the regular season, maybe the rest of the year, with the ankle injury as well. So just injuries abound. I mean, the Ravens going to win 34-20. Congrats to the Ravens, though. I think this win basically should secure a playoff spot for the Ravens. In the AFC, it's really a race to 10 wins. If you can get to 10 wins, you pretty much secure yourself a spot in the playoffs. And with the Ravens' remaining schedule of at the Chargers, hosting the Rams, at the Jaguars, at the Niners, hosting the Dolphins, hosting the Steelers, they should be able to find 2 wins in there. Not going to be the easiest thing. You look at that Rams game, you look at the Chargers game, they could get to 10-3. And then even if they falter down the stretch with a tough schedule of Jags, Niners, Dolphins, Steelers, you got to feel good if you're a Ravens fan that you may have just punched your ticket to the NFL playoffs with that win Thursday night at home. And I'll say this, we've seen it happen to teams like the Bills. When a starting quarterback goes down, you think, oh, we're going to win this game, and they end up losing the game, week 1 to the Jets. So kudos to the Ravens for finding a way to stay in that game, win that game, even though being down Mark Andrews And you could have let the foot off the gas with Joe Burrow going down, but they did not. It definitely, to me, feels at this point in time as though the Ravens just really secured themselves a spot. Are they going to win the AFC North? I don't know. Are they going to, end up with the 1 seed or 2 seed? I don't know. But it feels like the Ravens in that win on Thursday night secured a playoff spot. Meanwhile, the Bengals now, all eyes are going to be on Joe Burrow's wrist when he can come back. And even if he does come back, they have a tough road ahead of them to get themselves into the playoffs. All right, let's jump into it. Week 11 in the NFL. We will break down every game like we always do. And let's start with the Bears at the Lions Sunday at noon in Detroit. Detroit favored by 7.5. If this game was in Chicago, I would be taking the Bears as my upset of the week with the points. I like the Bears plus 7.5. I think the Bears will cover that. I'm betting that personally. It's not my official pick. I'm going to go a different route. We'll get to that later. But I think there's a lot to be confident with if you're a Bears fan in covering that. Will the Lions win? I think the Lions should probably win. They're way better of a football team overall. Their offensive line is so good. The Bears can't even generate pressure anyways. So even if the Bears can stifle the Lions' run game, because the Bears do have a solid run defense, it's not like when Jared Goff has to pass, then he's going to be under a ton of pressure. And the Bears can easily be knifed in the passing game. We've seen that over and over again this season. I think Justin Fields, though, is going to have the type of game that really keeps this Bears team in it. I think you're going to see him find DJ Moore a ton. They're going to get that connection going again. Justin Fields knows what he has to do to prove that he should be the quarterback of the Chicago Bears football team. He's got to not turn the ball over. He's got to make explosive plays. He's got to show that it's not his fault that they're losing games. And I think this will be a game that when we leave it as Bears fans, we'll watch and say, oh, no, it wasn't Justin Fields' reason they lost that game. I think this game is very much along the lines of 27-24. Lions win with a touchdown drive late, but the Bears are in it throughout the game. It's feisty, and the Lions end up being the better team, getting a home win against a divisional opponent that's much needed to get to 8 wins on the season. But the Bears' defense lets them down again. Maybe even there's a special teams gap in there as well, to where you once again proven that it's the coaching is the problem in Chicago, not necessarily the quarterback and the talent of the quarterback around him. Expect DJ Moore to have a big game. I expect the Lions offense to get bottled up in the run a little bit, but look for Amon-Ra St. Brown, Sam Laporta, and Jared Goff to really knife up the Bears defense. Lions win, Bears cover. That is my official prediction, but not one of my locks or my upset of the week. So we'll keep it moving. Steelers-Browns. The Steelers are somehow underdogs in this game, even though the Browns are starting the rookie Dorian Thompson-Robinson, DTR. And I don't know why. I think the Steelers absolutely win this game. I think the Browns will feel a little bit of relief knowing, okay, like the Watson thing was kind of like hanging over their head for a while. Will he play? Won't he play? Now it's officially he's done. So I think there's going to be a pop of that. There's some spark. I think the reason why P.J. Walker is not playing is because of a birth. I think he had a birth of a child. And so they're going with the rookie. I think the Steelers absolutely smell blood in the water in their division. And there's no team that is better as an underdog in their own division than Mike Tomlin and his Steelers. I absolutely see him getting this team fired up, showing them that they're an underdog, that Cleveland and a backup quarterback at home is favored over the 6-3 Steelers. I expect the Steelers to come out and put on a heck of a performance defensively. And Kenny Pickett will do what Kenny Pickett does in the fourth quarter. Down, he will lead a drive. He will make the plays that he needs to make in the fourth quarter to help them win this football game. I expect the Steelers to win in an ugly black and blue game, 20-17 over the Browns in Cleveland. The Steelers stay alive, get to their 7th win. The path for the Steelers to the playoffs is very, very clear. It's wide open. Let me click on this really quick and lay it out for you. After this game, even if they were to lose to the Browns, right? They play the Bengals, who will probably be without Burrow. So they get 2 backup quarterbacks in division in a row. Then they have the Cardinals, Patriots, Colts, Bengals again. So Joe Burrow could miss both those games. You have if you're the Steelers fans, you got to get to 10 wins. If you win today, all you have to do then is win 3 of these games. Bengals, Cardinals, Patriots, Colts, Bengals, Seahawks, Ravens. Tell me you can't find 3 wins in there? I think that Cardinals game's a win. I think they could easily split with the Bengals, beat the Patriots, and then the Colts game to get a win as well. And all of a sudden, the Pittsburgh Steelers find their way into the playoffs with a winning record. Mike Tomlin does it again. I'm not saying it's going to happen. I'm just saying the route is there. It is very wide open for the Steelers to make the playoffs. They get a win in Cleveland this week, 2017. Cardinals and Texans, and here is my upset of the week. Now, you know I love C.J. Stroud. I've been so high on C.J. Stroud. It's been awesome watching C.J. Stroud play. What the Texans are doing is really fantastic. But the Cardinals getting 6 points on the road is way too juicy for me. Everyone is all in on the Texans now. The Texans, I feel like I was the only one in on the Texans 4.5 weeks ago, 5 weeks ago, of how they were turning it around. Now everyone, the bandwagon is on the Texans, and everyone's, oh, C.J. Stroud's the MVP, C.J. Stroud's the MVP. I don't really think he's the MVP right now. I think he's playing extremely good football. He's playing top 10 quarterback football in the NFL, and the Houston Texans are good. But I think this is a big number for Kyler Murray, again, who showed you last week in that win at home. He's playing for something, and he knows what he's playing for, and it's his future in the NFL. Kyler Murray's too talented of a quarterback with a feisty roster to go on the road and not cover 6 points. I think that the Cardinals may actually win this game, and that is why it, to me, was in my gut was saying is like, this has got to be your upset of the week, because I think they're going to win the game. So I definitely think they're covering the 6 points, because if they lose, I think it's a close game. C.J. Stroud again, game-winning drive for a field goal or something like that. I'm going to take the Cardinals in an upset, 24-20 over the Houston Texans. C.J. Stroud comes back to earth a little bit. Up and down season rookie, and Kyler Murray balls out, leading the Cardinals to 2 victories in a row, and asserting himself back into, hey, I should be the franchise guy here in Arizona when healthy. I like the Cardinals as my official upset of the week. All right, Titans at Jags. Jags at home, favored by 7. I wanted to bet this game as Jags covering the 7 because I really do believe the Jags. I believed in them last week, and it was so embarrassed that I believed in them. They got so embarrassed. It was such an ugly game. I think the Jags bounced back, but I don't think they cover the 7. I think this is a closer game than we think. The Jags are just not playing good enough football right now, and I think Will Levis in the division with Mike Vrabel, a divisional game, he's going to have them really prepared. They know what the Jaguars do well. I think this game is closer than you think. 27-24, Jags win, but I don't think they cover. The Jags will find a way to right the ship here. And again, Jags fans shouldn't panic because they have winnable games coming on up, but this is one of those winnable games. So I'm not saying it's a must-win for Jacksonville, but it feels like it's a can't-lose for Jacksonville. Does that make sense? Like, it's not like a must-win, but it's definitely like a don't lose it. You should not lose this game if you're Jacksonville. I don't think they do, but I think the feisty Will Levis and the Titans Tractor Cito season gets going, and they find a way to cover this game with the +7. But I like the Jags to win it. Raiders at the Dolphins. Dolphins favored by 13. Listen, do the Dolphins cover the 13? Probably. That's my guess. I think the Raiders are playing inspired football. They are they're really acting like a different football team over the last 2 weeks with the interim coach Antonio Pierce, and I love what he's been doing with that program and the way he's been letting the practice squad guys on the sideline and all that. But this is a true road test against a very good Miami team off a bye, a Miami team that was kind of embarrassed the last time we saw them out, a Miami team that really needs to prove that they can compete with the upper echelon of the AFC. And one way to do that is to continue to blow out teams they're better than. I think they will end up blowing out the Raiders. I'll take the Dolphins to win convincingly 33-16 in a win over the Raiders in Miami. It's going to be hot down in Miami. Raiders on the road. They maybe keep it close in the first half. Dolphins pull away and cover the 13 late. I like the Dolphins to get to their 7th win and really ease their path to the playoffs as well. Cowboys at the Panthers. Cowboys favored by 10.5. I think this is one of those games where the Panthers will show some real fight and some life, but I think in the end the Cowboys will cover it. Dak Prescott played out of his mind last week against the Giants, and I think that was a great game for him to ball out in the idea of, it's a division rival, putting up some good stats. I think Dak comes back down to earth a little bit. The defense doesn't travel as well. They're not taking the Panthers maybe as seriously. Not that they took the Giants seriously, but they're a divisional opponent. You want to beat up on them. I think this game is lower scoring and closer than you think. I think the Cowboys will find a way to end up winning 27 to 16, barely covering. But I think the Panthers are in it later. Like, it wouldn't shock me if this game is, 16 to 20, and the Cowboys get a late score off of like a pick six or something late to where it really comforts them and seals it. But the Panthers are, I think, highly motivated to play better and to find a way to justify everything they're doing with Bryce Young in this organization. So I don't expect the Panthers to lay over like you see the Giants doing and some other teams that might be now aiming for the number 1 pick. The Panthers want to win games. And that is it's an interesting spot to be in because they're probably the least talented team. But the other the other poorly talented teams, they want to lose at this point in time. The Panthers want to win. They want to feel like they're justifying Bryce Young. I think he plays okay, but that Cowboys defense is overwhelming at times. Micah Parsons has a big player too. Cowboys will win and Cowboys will cover. Chargers at the Packers. This might be the most difficult game besides the Monday night game to break down for me. This is a tough one because the Chargers are favored on the road, which is just dumb. They're so poorly coached. They shouldn't be favored on the road against anybody. But here they are, and they're favored on the road because the Packers are so inept offensively that the Chargers defense, you assume, is going to be able to really handle this this Packers offense. And I think they will. I think the Chargers will win this game. But do they win it by the 3 points? I don't know. I mean, if this feels very much 21-20, 24-21, it just feels ugly. It feels like mistakes from the Packers are the reason why the Chargers will end up winning the game. Chargers have the better quarterback. They have him and, Herbert and Allen are on a tear right now, so I'm going to trust in that. But this Chargers team is on the road, and that's a scary place to be. I wouldn't bet this game with a 10-foot pole, but I do think the Chargers will find a way to beat the Packers at Lambeau. Giants, Commanders, don't waste too much time on it. Commanders will win. Will they cover? I don't know. Who cares? Commanders have the much better quarterback in this game. Commanders have the much better offense in this game. They have the better team overall. They're at home. I think they beat up on the Giants, a team that's not trying to win games anyways right now and looking to improve their draft stock. I'll take the Commanders. Let's say 27-10. They win at home over the Giants. Buccaneers at the Niners. Niners favored by 12. Yeah, I think they win by about 12. I see this game very much along the lines of 30-17 at home. Not even that close. Bucs maybe get a late touchdown to get it within the 2 scores. Listen, the Niners proved last week they're back. They're back with a vengeance, and they're taking no you-know-what from nobody. And I don't blame them. I don't blame them for putting on that type of performance and to reestablish themselves. There were doubters. I was one of them after the 3-game losing streak and what it felt like a slightly desperate move to go get Chase Young. But it paid off, and Brock Purdy played really, really well last week. And now with Debo back, Trent Williams back, no reason to think the Niners would lose this game at home. Even if they were caught sleeping a little bit and the Bucs came out and hit them in the mouth, which the Bucs are capable of doing, the Niners just have too many weapons, absolutely too many weapons. They don't even have to rely on McCaffrey. I think they selectively rest McCaffrey. He'll play, but you know what I mean? Like, I think that they can load up and use him as a little bit more of a decoy. Debo Samuel, big game. Brandon Ayuk, big game against that beat-up secondary for the Buccaneers, like the Niners, easily at home. Jets, Bills. This is my lock of the week. Bills -7. I think the Bills win this game. I think the Bills win this game handily. I think the Bills at home, everyone's talking about them. They were again embarrassed on primetime, firing a coach. The Bills will come out firing on all cylinders. Joe Brady and that offense, I think, will have a renewed identity. I think you'll see a commitment to the run game. Josh Allen, I think, will play one of his best games as a pro against a very good Jets defense. The Jets offense can't score. That's why the Bills are going to cover. I think it's the Bills 24, Jets 13. Bills win pretty easily. Josh Allen, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions. Really good game. I think him and Stephon Diggs connect for a couple big plays, try to quell all the rumors about them falling off. I love the Bills at home. Seahawks, Rams, depending on Matt Stafford's health, I'm not sure if Stafford's playing in this game or not 100%. And so I'm going to take the Seahawks. If Stafford was playing and he was healthy, I think there's a real case to make for the Rams, and the Rams having a chance to make a real run at this thing. But he's probably going to play, not 100%. Seahawks are playing for a lot more right now. I'll take the Seahawks on the road. They're favored by 1. I think it is close. Well, let's go 27-24. A last-minute field goal win for the Seahawks in Los Angeles against the Rams. Vikings, Broncos. This might be the third hardest game to predict on the schedule. The Broncos and the Vikings are 2 of the hottest teams in the NFL. This game is in Denver Sunday night. Cold weather. I like the Vikings. I really do. I think the Vikings are a team that when you look at them and how they've been playing with Josh Dobbs, they are going to find ways on multiple levels offensively to beat you. Hawkinson has been an absolute stud, best tight end in the league really since Justin Jefferson went out with the numbers he's putting on up. And the Broncos, listen, yeah, they beat the Bills on the road last week, but that was ugly. The Bills beat themselves. That was not the Broncos stealing a game. That was the Bills continually shooting themselves in the foot. Yes, Russ is playing better, but I think the defense is susceptible to give up points. And I think overall, Minnesota, with the blitz-happy packages of Brian Flores in that defense, I think they're going to get after Russ. They're going to make life uncomfortable for him. I'm going to take the Vikings to win in Denver, Sunday Night Football, 24-17 victory for 24-20. A little closer. 24-20 victory for the Vikings as they stay hot. Finally, Monday Night Football, the game we've all been waiting for, the game we are all very, very excited about. You have the Chiefs favored by 2.5 at home against the Eagles. Fly, Eagles, fly. I like the Eagles in this game. I think the Eagles have something really unique. They are finding ways to win games in different ways. Their defense hasn't even played great football yet, and I think they could maybe show up here. The Eagles are motivated. Jason Kelce, the center, said earlier this week they're not motivated by the Super Bowl loss. That's not true. They're motivated by it. They're motivated by a lot of things right now. I just know it. The Eagles have a chip on their shoulder. I think still people are doubting them a little bit, talking about the Niners a ton. And I think, I'll be honest, the Chiefs have a little bit of breathing room with the AFC falling apart. The Bills are falling apart. The Bengals are falling apart. 2 of their biggest rivals. The Browns are falling apart. They've already beaten the Dolphins. I really think that the Chiefs at home, a little distracted. The Kelces are meeting the Swifts. That plays way more in a distraction for Kansas City than it does for Jason and the Eagles. I think there's something to all of that. I think it's a great game. I think it's an epic game. I think A.J. Brown and Jalen Hurts make the plays late to win this game. I think what we're going to leave this game on Monday night talking about is, wow, one team has a bevy of elite weapons. The other team has Travis Kelce and a bunch of dudes. And I think that's what we're going to see. I think we're going to see Jalen Hurts ball out. I think you're going to see the Eagles win 33-30 on the road in Kansas City with an absolute epic. And I think, as of right now, a true Super Bowl rematch and Super Bowl preview in Las Vegas this year. Quickly, before we take a break, teams on the bye week this week, the Falcons, Colts, Pats, and Saints. Quickly on the Falcons, Arthur Smith, the seat is getting hot. I don't necessarily think it's fair because he doesn't have a quarterback, but he is not doing enough to showcase Pitts and Bijan Robinson and Drake London, some of their really impressive young offensive talent. And here's the thing. Even if you don't have a quarterback, you've got to find a way to show your fan base, to show your ownership, to show your leadership that I can use these other pieces in great, great ways now. And then just kind of that, like, and imagine if I had a quarterback. He's not doing that. It is not looking good for Arthur Smith. And I think he needs to go back to the drawing board, find a way in this break to get Drake London healthy and to make sure that they invest fully in a game plan that will feature London, Robinson, and Pitts for the remainder of the year. They don't have to win games, but show us that those guys matter and you know how to scheme them the correct way to get the most of them, even with an underprivileged and underused quarterback situation. The Colts on a bye. Yeah, listen, the Colts are, they're all very much alive for a wild card spot. Who would have guessed that after Anthony Richardson went down? So kudos to the Colts. Can they get healthy at the right time and make a little run? The Pats, they're in tank mode. They should be in tank mode. So what are they doing? If I were them, I would be getting Bailey Zappi ready in a way that to lose games for me. Because there's going to be a really important game off of their bye against the Giants. The loser of the Patriots-Giants next week absolutely could be fast-tracked to the number 2, possibly even the number 1 overall pick. And that means a lot, especially for two teams that are oddly kind of rivals in the northeast part of the country, Giants and Patriots. So their bye week, if I was the Patriots, I'd be preparing Bailey Zappi, and that means if that was me, I'd be preparing to lose games if I'm the Pats. Saints on the bye. Listen, the Saints, if it were me, I said it. At this point in time, it looks like Jameis Winston just gives you a better chance to win games. And I know they're probably not going to do that because organizationally it'll look like a failure. But then Dennis Allen should be gone. If you're going to trust in Derek Carr, fire Dennis Allen and move on from him because he has just not been good at all. And this Saints team is inconsistent offensively, defensively, and Dennis Allen has not proven that he can handle the responsibility of leading this Saints team that's in a win now mode in a weak division to clearing up that the NFC South. I can't believe we're still talking about the NFC South as an open division, but that's just because of the ineptitude right now of Dennis Allen and Derek Carr together. I would start Jameis if you're trying to win games. He pushes the ball down the field. He gives your playmakers a chance. Yes, he's going to turn the ball over more, but he also is going to make your offense hit big plays, and they have a lot of big play weapons on that Saints offense. When we come back, quickly talking a little college football, and then we'll also get to the Bulls. It looks like they're going to blow it on up. They have some valuable pieces. I think it's about time. And then my Cubs, they made the move at the manager, and all eyes now on Shohei Ohtani. I'll give you my thoughts on all that next. Live and local at America's News Talk 1070 KHMO, the KHMO app. It's On the Mark, brought to you by Kunis Honda Hyundai. Follow me on Twitter, on Instagram, at Mark Hespen, MarkHespen. Follow the show On the Mark, KHMO, on Facebook.
This is a St. Jude moment.
Braxton was diagnosed with choroid plexus carcinoma, which is a brain tumor. We have an amazing team that fights for the best outcome for Braxton. Being part of the research makes us feel like we're doing our take. So if we can put our little piece of the puzzle in it, I would do it over and over again. Because I don't want another family to have to go through what we're going through. Seeing the research team keep going all night makes me relieved. I was up at 2 o'clock in the morning and I saw a meeting going on. And I was like, oh my God, no one sleeps here? Which is fantastic because they are literally trying to find a cure 24 hours a day. They're not willing to give up.
Finding cures, saving children. Learn more at stjude.org.
Giving your child their first phone is an important and often difficult decision. After all, it is a milestone in your child's development. The Phone Ready Quiz from the American Academy of Pediatrics can help make this decision easier. Go to healthychildren.org/phone ready quiz to take a short questionnaire that'll help you decide if you and your child are ready, almost ready, or not yet ready for their first phone. Go to healthychildren.org/phone ready quiz today.
Did you know that when you talk, read, or sing with your child, you're helping to shape their brain? Every parent has the power to create a strong start for our children from the day they are born. Visit TalkingIsTeaching.org for free tips and ideas on how to transform everyday moments into magical moments for learning.
Here's your weatherology forecast from the News Talk 1070 KHMO Weather Center. Sunny skies today with highs around 58. Southwest winds 5 to 10 miles per hour. Clear skies tonight, lows dip down to about 34. Cloudy skies tomorrow, high temperatures reach up to 58. Right now, 41.
Welcome on back to On the Mark here on News Talk 1070 KHMO and the KHMO app, brought to you by Kunis Honda Hyundai, your number one Honda and Hyundai dealer in the tri-state area, 221 North 36th Street in Quincy. You got to ask them about the 3,000 new and used vehicles to choose from. If you go to shopkunis.com, you can start browsing through all the vehicles. What's so great about Kunis Honda Hyundai is Kunis Honda Hyundai is your access point to the Kunis family and the network of dealers all across the Midwest. Almost, 30, 40 plus locations. If you're looking for this certain type of vehicle, a Jeep, a Dodge, whatever it might be, Kunis Honda Hyundai can bring it to you to the dealership. That's how they helped me out with my truck. And they had it within a day, even though it was a couple hundred miles away. ShopKunis.com. Go into the dealership and shop with them in person on their website as well. Tell them Mark sent you. All right, we're moving on as we welcome you on back to On the Mark here on News Talk 1070 KHMO into college football land. Quickly on the Jim Harbaugh suspension, I'll say this. The thing that really bothers me with the whole suspension is that it felt like the Big Ten was attacking itself unnecessarily. Normally, a conference like the SEC, if this happened in the SEC and this was Kirby Smart or Nick Saban, the SEC would not at all do some sort of their own investigation, their own punishment against one of their own teams vying for a national championship before the NCAA does their own investigation and punishment. This is a punishment from the Big Ten against Harbaugh. And that's just wild to me. It's so insane. Your conference makes more money the more teams you have playing in big games. And that spreads the wealth. You know, if Michigan and Ohio State were to make it to the college football playoff, both those teams bring in huge money for the conference and for them as well. So I don't get why they were so apt to punish themselves. And it must just have been the pressure from the other schools to try to go after big bad Jim Harbaugh. But I just think it was such a dumb move because Harbaugh's probably now still going to face NCAA sanctions and Michigan as well. So it's just like this weird double punishment. But at least now we can move on from the Big Ten's findings. The NCAA always moves slower on this. They're not going to do anything till, into the spring, in next year, the summer. And so we should expect Jim Harbaugh, if the Michigan Wolverines make it to the Big Ten championship game, to coach and to the playoff to coach as well. And that is good if they can make it there and get through Ohio State. This week, number 3, Michigan without Harbaugh has got to worry about being in Maryland against 6-4 Maryland. Maryland's capable of pulling an upset, especially with this is very much a look-ahead week for Michigan and no Jim Harbaugh. They just got to win. They can win ugly, just run the ball all in the second half like they did against Penn State, but just leave there with a W. Number 1, Georgia. They are on the road against Tennessee, 7-3, number 18 in the country. Nothing to lose, Tennessee, except for playing spoiler. So all they have left to do is play spoiler. So Georgia's got to be on upset alert this week. I think they'll win, but definitely keep an eye on upset alert. Number 5, Washington, 10-0, is underdogs at number 11, 8-2 Oregon State. I love Washington as an underdog at Oregon State. Michael Penix Jr. has been balling out. Oregon State is absolutely capable of pulling the upset. But I think this Washington team is a little bit different, and I think it's the way Penix has been playing. He's my Heisman Trophy winner at this point in time, especially if he wins this game at Oregon State. I like Washington as the number 5 team in the country as an underdog. And then number 9, Mizzou, 8-2, hosting 5-5 Florida. Can Mizzou stay alive for a big-time bowl game? It'll help if they can beat Florida at home. On the Mark, News Talk 1070, KHMO, and the KHMO app brought to you by Kunis Honda Hyundai. When we come back, quick couple topics to wrap up the show next.
The Songs of Love Foundation is a nonprofit organization that provides free, personalized songs for kids battling serious illness, including physical or emotional challenges. Listen to a little of Kaylee's Song of Love.
Kelly, we love everything you do.
Any parent or relative can request a free Song of Love by visiting songsoflove.org or calling us at 800-960-SONG. That's 800-960-SONG.
1070 KHMO.
Welcome on back to On the Mark here on News Talk 1070 KHMO, the KHMO app. Brought to you by Kunis Honda Hyundai, your number one Honda and Hyundai dealer in the tri-state area, 221 North 36th Street in Quincy. They also are the home of the lifetime powertrain no fear warranty on new and used vehicles. Stop by the dealership, check out what the warranty has to offer, and tell them Mark sent you. All right, I want to quickly mention that it looks like the Bulls are about to blow everything up. LaVine, DeRozan, Vooch, Caruso, all valuable pieces, all on the table. For me, about what the Bulls should do, at this point in time, it's so frustrating. I keep thinking the Bulls are a free agent destination, but clearly they're not. There is a reputation in this league that the Bulls don't treat star players well, that the ownership, it doesn't want to spend. And so if that's the case, and they're not going to be consistent players in free agency to where they can attract big-time stars to come and play, game-changing players, well, then I'm all about trading all of the pieces you have for as many picks as you can. Become like Oklahoma City and load up in all the picks. Vooch, Caruso, DeRozan, LaVine, get the picks, get as much as you can in that way. Young players and picks. I'm not as necessarily worried about getting the star back. Would it be cool to get Anthony Davis? Sure. But if you're getting Anthony Davis for Zach LaVine, then I want to keep DeRozan, and I want maybe D'Angelo Russell as a point guard to kind of go and aid in that as well. Maybe there's something to look at there. I don't think the Lakers are looking to do that, though. So I'm all in on trading them and blowing it up. But I guess my stance is I would rather the picks, because for some reason the Bulls just aren't a free agent destination, and it's because our ownership in Reinsdorf is that bad. It's that terrible. Finally, all the reports are the Cubs are going all in to try to get Shohei Ohtani. I will say this quickly. I just want it on the record about my thoughts with this. I love this. I think the Cubs should absolutely position themselves as the place to be for Shohei Ohtani to spend the bulk of his career and to become a Hall of Fame talent. I think the Cubs, if they can spend the money and overpay for Shohei Ohtani and get him to come here, will be absolutely the team that then can sign some guys and finagle some other contracts to put a winning product together around him